looks like we are live. Welcome everybody to the second episode of Pretty Well Read. I'm here today with my friend Elaine. Hey Elaine, how's it going? Thank you so much for being on episode 2 of Pretty Well Read.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. That part for listeners, the BTS, that was rehearsed. But yeah, so if you are new to the podcast, we are going to do it kind of in 3 sections, listeners and watchers. First, we're going to talk about just Elaine's relationship to books and reading, and a special kind of tidbit about her versus my first guest, Janine, is Elaine is actually also a writer, so we're going to talk a bit about that as well. And then we're going to get into a book that she recommended for the podcast that I read, and it's Madelaine Lucas's debut novel, Thirst for Salt. So the second section, we're going to talk about the book and a few questions without spoiling, and then we're going to hop into the spoilers in the last section of the podcast. So you can drop off where you'd like, or stick around for the whole thing if you don't mind a spoiler or two. But with all that kind of out of the way, Elaine, how do we meet?
It was a former coworker of mine who basically sent me your Instagram and was like, "Hey, Elaine, this is Mariah.
Mhm.
Follow her. You like the same things. You both like books." So that's kind of how we were just like, I think it was an Instagram DM. She sent you my profile, or it was she. I think
I
she
think she did
sent
both.
your profile.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, and we is our friend Chow. We'll shout her out. Hi Chow, we miss you. She worked with me first, and then she went to work with you, and she was like, "Hello, you have 100 similar interests. Be this person's friend." And I was like, "Sure." And so, one of those interests we have in common, obviously, is reading. So I wanted to know, like, when did you get into reading? Were you like a little kid reader, or what did that look like, friend?
oh yeah, I was definitely a little kid reader. So I grew up in the north of Bangladesh, and I mean, I didn't have access to any like English books besides what we had in the library, and it was a Christian school. So there were
Oh,
like limitations in like censorships on what kind of books that were available in the library.
yeah.
So there was like obviously as a teenager you kind of want to read some fun stuff. And I ended up gravitating towards Wattpad. And that is where I used to read most of my books when I was like 12 to like probably up until I was 16, 17 years old. I read on Wattpad. That was
Yeah.
like kind of my source for books.
That is so funny. I haven't heard that yet. I haven't heard Wattpad in forever. I put like a few erotic stories up there because I thought the spicy community was there in mass. And it's mostly just you over there, apparently. So
I
funny.
I feel like I read so much stuff there. I shouldn't have been reading for how old I was at that time.
Yes, that's so funny. And when did your family come to Canada again?
My family didn't. It was just me. I moved here in 2018 for school.
Oh shit. I thought your whole family
Yeah.
came over when you were a teenager, but it's just you. So everybody is still
Just
over in
me.
Bangladesh. Oh,
Yeah.
wild. Oh, okay, cool. I knew you had for sure extended family, but I didn't know like your immediate family was still there. How often do you go
Yeah.
back?
The last time I visited family was in 2023 around this time.
Oh, okay, nice. That's so
It's
cool.
2 years ago.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's been a minute. I haven't seen mine even in 2 years because I'm just over in Alberta originally. Um, and so like were your parents readers? Did you come from a family of readers or where'd you get that
Oh
from?
yeah.
Yeah.
There are huge readers. They are, but they read Bangla books. And
Mhm.
I still like struggle with reading Bangla, which is kind of embarrassing because it's my first language. But like I did read a lot of Bangla when I was a teenager, but after moving here especially like I haven't picked up a Bangla book and I'm struggling to read like even a sentence properly in Bangla right now because it's I don't know, it's way harder to understand for me than English is right now.
Yeah, interesting. Well, they say like if you don't use it, you lose it, and that even comes into play with your native tongue, I guess. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy. And so what kind of like with your limited access to English books and stuff like that, like what kind of genres were you into and what did you feel like you were like missing?
I read a lot of romance,
Mm.
but that was on Wattpad.
Yeah.
But at school, I remember I was reading Harry Potter series before like the whole,
Yes.
situation with the author.
Yeah.
But the books got removed from the library, I think. So I was gravitating towards fantasy books even as a teenager, but
Cool.
there wasn't a lot there because sometimes there were parts of it, like books that were part of a series that were removed because, oh, there was a character kissing another character.
Oh, sure. I was gonna say, and like magic and Jesus never really mixed in school either.
No, no. It was also the cultural thing, right? Because Bangladesh doesn't like, you don't really kiss people on the
Okay.
lips in public in Bangladesh. So I don't know.
Fair.
That could have been a reason why it was also removed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. Um, so you read kind of widely and what you couldn't access like in your libraries you got from Wattpad or the internet?
Pretty much, yeah. We did like the bigger city, the capital city, Dhaka. Whenever my dad went to like for a work trip or something, I'd like, oh, go to the bookstore and find me a book.
Oh, that's so cute. And so he was a big reader too?
Oh, they're all huge readers. Like we have lots of books in the house.
Oh, that's so wholesome. It's nice to see. Like I was kind of the same way, like books everywhere. Got your own library card when you were really little. So for a lot of us, I feel like it's kind of you read by example, you do by example in what you're seeing around the house. But it's also nice to see like some of our friends getting into it for the first time at 28. Right? So
Yeah.
wholesome. I'm sure you've influenced like lots of your friends without realizing it to like pick up books or get into reading because you're like aggro with it on the internet, much like myself. And so what kind of books do you read now?
I I think fantasy is still one of my top genres, but
Yeah.
recently most of the fantasy books I've been reading have been a little bit of a flop. But literary fiction is also another top genre in the last, I want to say 2, 3 years. I've been reading a lot more like contemporary literary fiction kind of stuff because sometimes fantasy doesn't hit the same like the way that it used to like 2, 3 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I find too that um with fantasy in particular, like you can get like dark fantasy and hard fantasy and more magical realism or cozy fantasy. Are there any types of like subgenres within fantasy that you're like, I fuck with this and I don't fuck with this?
I don't know, to be honest. I think I tried cozy fantasy. I don't think it's a genre for me. I do need a little more going on
Yeah,
plot-wise.
sure.
But epic fantasy, I love the Jade City, so Greenbone Saga, that trilogy by Fonda Lee. That's one of my favorites, and it's urban fantasy.
Mm.
And what else? I think I do. I like Brandon Sanderson's work, but the most recent releases have not been very, I don't know, satisfactory.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He got skewered for Wind and Truth. Like the people did not like it, yourself included, which I was very surprised and disheartened by because I was so ready to start that series. And then when you hated on the last one that hard, I was like, maybe it's not worth my time. I don't know.
I will say the first two books of that series are still like my top fantasy books of all time.
Oh,
But
really?
I don't know what happened like after the third book.
Oh, interesting. The pressure got to him. The deadlines got to him. I don't know. And what made you start like a bookstagram and what made you want to start like posting about books online?
It was a friend who suggested during the pandemic, she was like, "Oh, you should start posting on Instagram about your books and reviews." And I was like, "Okay." And then the first book I posted, it was an older account, was a book by Anne Rule, I think. And it was like a nonfiction about Ted Bundy.
That's so random. What an uplifting start.
I know.
That's so good. And that's not even like so it was technically it was memoir or true crime? What was it technically classified as?
It was something like that. I think she was like she knew of him. She was kind of like friends with him. I don't know. It
Oh.
was a blur because I remember not really liking it.
Oh, okay, so it was kind of like a tell-all true crime vibe.
Yeah, yeah. It was also like, oh, this man was so charming. He had a fantastic future, and you know how it goes. And I was just like, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what a random place to start for you. That's actually really funny. Um, what are and so you've kept going with it. But what are kind of
On and
like
off.
yes, on and off, you are a frequent boundary setter with social media for yourself. So sometimes Elaine will be like, we'll be yapping every day about something, and then I'll just look and it'll say Instagram user vaguely, and I was like, oh, she's gone.
This time I remembered to send you my phone number so you still had access to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So fun. No, it's totally fair. I respect it. And then sometimes you just reappear with like a reply to my story. I'm like, oh, she's back. So funny. Well, are there other types of speaking of like Bookstagram, where else do you engage with book media?
TikTok.
Mm. Hell yeah. We were just talking about this off the podcast as well. You're on Book Talk?
I'm not on Book Talk, but I watch a lot of Book Talk videos. But I feel like the kind of books Book Talk likes to read and gravitate towards is not necessarily the kind of books I like to read, but it's still fun to watch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's kind of like if book lovers and readers were to have their own reality show, it would be people like talking about feral ice hockey romance, right?
I have not read a single like sports romance book yet. I don't
No,
think I can stomach it.
no, I'm actually so good on pucking around, but thank you so much for the offer. Like, I can, no, thank you. Are there any genres you won't touch?
I don't think I'm a huge sci-fi reader. I tried so hard, but I just
Really?
can't.
Interesting. Okay, because I say that too, but I think it's just because I'm a little dumb, like RE, the sciences. And so I'm just like, it's a lot on my brain. But you are an engineer. You are great at STEM
I,
things.
I'm 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 not an engineer, but I did do computer science. But I still am not a huge fan of all the like not even the technical stuff. I just don't think I like the setting. Like I'm not a
Oh.
huge fan of like spacey stuff or like sciencey stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Have you read it? Like, have you given the genre like a go? Or are you just like, or you just know it's not for you?
I have every time I pick one up, I'm just like, why am I doing this to myself?
Did you try like an Ernest Klein or something? Like, what have you tried? No?
I tried Project Hail Mary, which is
Oh,
like the movie's coming out,
yeah.
and everybody loves it.
Hmm.
And I think it might be one of the better sci-fi books I've read, but for some reason, I was like, "Mm, it was okay."
Yeah, yeah. You're like not dying to go back into that world or that setting. Yeah.
No.
That's so funny. So what would be an example then? So since you kind of read widely and you're down with plot or character kind of driven books, what makes a 5-star read for you? Like, what do they have to do to earn all those stars from you?
I was actually talking about like 5 stars and like star rating system basically.
Mhm, mhm.
And it's varies so much for me because it
Yeah.
totally depends on like my mood. If I'm in kind of like a reading slump, a book that I would have enjoyed, like if I was not in a reading slump, would have been a 5 stars. But
Yeah.
because I was in a reading slump and it felt like a chore to read, I
Mhm.
would probably give it like a 3 stars. So
Okay,
like
interesting.
I don't even trust myself with like the 5 star rating. Like because I'm just like I go through my Goodreads and I'm like, why did I give like reminders of him by Colleen Hoover 5 star?
Elaine, that's so cursed. That's so funny. Oh my god. Who were you in that moment? Were you okay? That's so funny. For me, I think, yeah, mood is also a big one as well. But I think when I can recommend a book widely, when it can surpass its own like typical genre of readers, and I could recommend a book to anybody, I think I can recommend it because it's a 5 star. Because it goes beyond the like expectations of its genre. And I can be like, hey, horror reader, you would actually fucking love this fantasy or this romance or something because like it's that good. Um, but yeah, fair.
I if I like I know people ask me for recommendations and I'm just like, what kind of genres do you like and what kind of genres do you not like?
Yes.
Because if somebody's asking me for a self-help book that they think is a 5 stars, I'd be like, I don't read that shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've read like a few self-help books that have actually like hit. It just but in times of like kind of deeper sadness in my life because so it like had to hit just where I was emotionally. But aside from that, no, I can't do self-help or business. I'm with you.
No, I'm
No.
absolutely that's like a genre I would never pick up, like, ever.
No. No, no. I read I have a friend right now who's going through like a pretty awful breakup. And I went through a breakup after like a 6-year relationship. And I read a book called it's called A Breakup Because It's Broken. It's like the strong woman's guide to, calling it quits or something like that is the subtitle. And it was funny and some of the learnings I think were really positive, but I think because it was originally like released in oh god, like in 98, something like really old. And so the sections where it would be like throw away your beeper. Like the old tech and stuff, like the old references just kind of like sent me and put me in a better mood and then it helped me through the breakup like inadvertently, but yeah, those are one
I
of my
love that.
good. I still recommend that book for people going through a breakup. I'm like, you need to read. It's called A Breakup Because It's Broken. It hits. Um how often do you DNF books?
I DNF books left and right, like,
Do you?
I do. I'm a huge DNFer, and I think like one of the reasons I am able to read a lot is because I DNF and I don't let myself fall into that like, oh, I'm just
Mhm.
gonna hate read this and then go into a reading slump. So
Yeah.
if I'm like reading a book 5 pages in, the author says something that I do not like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, yep, you're done.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Because in episode 1, for anybody who's watched or listened, I was talking to my friend Janine about how like she and I have DNF'd like 5 books ever in our lives. Like we will soldier through. And so for people who DNF relatively easily, I love that for your mental health, first of all. But second of all, in terms of like money, are you because do you buy most like what does that look like? Are you just wasting hundreds of dollars a year?
It depends. Like, I will return a book if like it's within the time frame and if
Yeah.
like I have only read like 5 to 10 pages.
Mm,
Because I don't like find it icky to read a whole book, not like it, and then go return it because that's a little weird.
yeah.
But like if I read a couple pages and I'm like, yeah, this is totally not for me,
Mhm.
I'm going to return it to, especially if it's from Indigo or
Yeah.
Amazon. I'm gonna be like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, smart. And do you use your library or nah?
I do. I do. I listen to audiobooks because I know Audible and like Libro, the two like audiobook platforms I do use, you get credits and
Mhm.
sometimes like you don't necessarily like a book and then you can't like return it. Like you can return it, but it's like there's like different logistics there, but if I'm borrowing it from the library,
Mhm.
I can like get multiple and I
Yeah.
don't have to like pay any money for it.
Right, that helps. I do find that DNFing audiobooks is a little easier. Something about like
Oh yeah.
I just don't open the app anymore. It's a little nice, right? Like I can't
Yeah.
do we're gonna get into like because you listened to Thirst for Salt the last time, right? Okay, we're gonna get into that. But for audiobooks, fiction, I have a hard time with. Nonfiction reads like or listens like a podcast, and I can get in it a little more. But as fiction, I have a really hard time with audiobooks. Like I tried to read Shelby Van Pelt. I tried to listen to Remarkably Bright Creatures, the octopus one. Remember that one?
Hmm.
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I
Oh
listened to it
no.
and I was like, I hate this. Unfortunately.
Do you do like are you like doing something with your hands, like doing the dishes, doing laundry, or like any crafts while you listen? Or do you just listen like without anything else and you just sit and listen to it?
Just like raw dog, just like sitting.
Basically.
I mix it up. I do like I'll go for a walk so I don't have to like focus on what's immediately in front of me, and usually that does it. Or I'll puzzle, but sometimes I have to be like really in the zone with one when I'm puzzling because sometimes there's like a strategy when I'm puzzling as well. But I've tried both with this book and nada, couldn't do it. I was like, for some reason. But nonfiction's a lot easier, but you can do both with audio.
I'm it depends. So usually when I'm reading nonfiction, I do like to like tab or like highlight and stuff.
Hmm.
So when I listen to an audiobook, I usually have like a physical copy of the nonfiction with me, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like immersive. But when I'm listening to fiction, I always like do an activity like cooking or cleaning or crocheting, which I've been doing recently a lot.
Oh.
But I need some sort of like a hand activity so I don't like my brain doesn't wander off to like somewhere else.
Yeah, 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 that's totally fair. Is there a genre of book that you like kind of want to get into but just haven't yet?
I don't think so.
No? Yeah, that's fair. No, I
No.
yeah, yeah. For me, like I am also I read pretty widely as well. I think poetry, like I need to get into, and also classics. Like I'm not a big
Oh.
classics girl, but I know I like should be. Should like put in
I
some
actually,
time.
that's a good point. I have a
Mhm.
bunch of classics that I got influenced by like book talk, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
let me buy East of Eden because it's like widely loved.
Mhm.
I also have the audiobook, but it's just so intimidating to pick up because
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna like it, but I really want to be in the right headspace to pick it up. So I don't go like, oh, nah, I'm not reading this after 10 pages.
Yeah, 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 great point. And I think also with classics, there's an air of intimidation around like you have to be an intellectual to like them. And all these people have these rave reviews about these classics, and they're like, they were so like groundbreaking, and they still they stand the test of time, and blah blah blah. And it kind of insinuates that if you don't like it in the same way that like these thousands of other people have, that like you maybe you're dumb, or like maybe you're not, you know what I mean? Maybe you're not well read enough to appreciate it. Maybe it kinda seems like all roads lead to dumb, like, if you don't like it, and so I think people are, like, intellectually intimidated that way too. I don't know if you also feel that, but
Oh yeah, 100%. And I also feel like the people who make videos about like, reading classics, there is a level of elitism. Like they're like, oh, I'm so much smarter than you. So it's always like very intimidating to want to actually dabble with the genre.
yeah, 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 they're like, "I own 7 different collector's editions of Jane Eyre, so I am better than you." It's a little pretentious, the club. That's so funny. That was my last reading related question. I just wanted to dip into writing a little bit. So you work as a software developer by day, right? Yes.
Yep.
Full stack, back end, front end. What's the vibe?
UI development. So it's the little details in the front end. So it's not like full on front end development, but
Hmm.
it's all the designy aspects of front end.
Oh, cool. Good for you. Couldn't be me. But how how does your brain like section itself from like technical to also wanting to be a writer? How'd you get into writing?
I've always wanted to write. I also tried writing on Wattpad as a teenager. It was
Yeah.
there I read a couple of the stuff I've written and I was like, "Holy hell, this is absolutely terrible."
Amazing.
And I have the confidence to post that. So I was like, I need that confidence back.
Hmm. That's so funny. So you
But
started when you were a teen. Yeah.
oh yeah, I did. But like obviously after I moved here and then like I didn't take English in high school. I took English up until grade 10. And
Okay.
then so we followed the British curriculum, so I didn't have like any English courses. I
Mhm.
only did like science courses and math. So there was like no writing during that time.
Oh,
And then I don't think I've written anything until 2024. So last
mm,
year was like when I finally got back into writing.
mhm.
And I was like, I just don't want to write anything. I'm going to write a full on novel
You sure
in
did.
30 days.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
That's crazy. Yeah, you went from 0 to 100, and I respect the hell out of that. Um, that first manuscript you wrote in 30 days, that she is shelved for now, and you're working on a different one, right?
She is shelved, but I have a feeling I might combine the ideas from that one
Mhm.
into the one I currently, like, most recently finished.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, cool. And yeah, I was actually listening to like a Joe Hill podcast earlier today, and he was talking about how he had like 4 novels that never saw the light of day in publishing, but like there are so many elements from it that he brought into like his latest novel. So yeah, that's reduce, reuse, recycle. Why wouldn't you? Right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's so funny. What have you learned like from shelving your first manuscript to kind of starting your second? What are some of the biggest learnings in terms of writing, in terms of prep, in terms of like what are some of the biggest things that made you go, "Oh, this works for me and this doesn't."
I think I didn't like outline anything for the first one
Yeah.
because I was just like, let me just see where this story goes. That's the biggest change I made when I wrote the second one because I was like, I do want to have some ideas.
Mhm.
So I followed Save the Cat. That's kind of like one of the most common ones writers follow, and I used that to kind of like roughly outline this like newer manuscript. And it worked well for the most part, but I do think I need to have some sort of like an in between where I still have like the creative freedom to explore.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm going to do with the next draft is make a reverse outline, but also leave enough room for me to have fun with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I think finding out whether you're like a plotter or a pantster, or there's so many like different terms for it, is kind of critical in like what works for you, and you really don't know who you are unless you do it. Like I've
Yeah.
been very much plotting the first draft of my book I'm working on, and now I'm like going into draft 2, I'm like I kind of just need to pants it cuz plotting I plotted myself into a corner. Nobody plots
Yeah,
for me in the corner. Yeah.
it's just so much fun to sometimes be like, "Ooh, my characters are doing this. I had no idea they'd be doing that."
Yeah, yeah. Which is sometimes, stifled when you're plotting, but when you're, flying by the seat of your pants, aka pantsing, and just kind of freestyling it as you go, then yeah, maybe magic happens. And we're back. Wow, podcast magic. Before we get into the thirst for salt, no spoilers questions, I'm going to read the back of the book first. People who didn't check it out already. It's in the water where she first sees him, a local man almost 20 years her senior. Adrift in the summer after finishing college, a young woman is on a holiday with her mother in isolated Australian coastal town. Finding herself pulled to Jude, the man in the water, she begins losing herself in the simple, seductive rhythms of his everyday life. As the relationship deepens, life at Sailor's Beach offers her the stability she has been craving as the daughter of two drifters, a loving but impulsive mother and an itinerant father. But the arrival of Maeve, a friend of Jude's past, threatens to rock their fragile newfound intimacy. And when she witnesses something she doesn't fully understand, she finds herself questioning everything about Jude, about herself, about the life she has and the one she wants. A magnetic and unforgettable story of desire and its complexities, and a powerful reckoning with memory loss and longing. Madeleine Lucas's debut novel, Thirst for Salt, reveals with stunning, sensual immediacy the way the past can hold us in its thrall, shaping who we are and what we love. So that's the back of Thirst for Salt. How did you hear about this book, Elaine?
It was a mutual on Instagram who posted about it.
Oh,
Um, and she made a video. Her name's Rachel. I don't know if her Instagram is active because I know the last time I was on, her bookstagram was deactivated. But yeah, she posted about it and it immediately like grabbed my attention. So I picked it up like the next week or something like that.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, no, I'm glad too. And normally, when I asked you to pick out a book for us to talk about on the podcast, I for sure thought we were going to go wizards and dragons, and I thought for sure we were going like deep hard fantasy. But I was super surprised by this. Technically, it would be called like would you call it literary fiction, or what would you classify it as?
Think so, yeah. I think it
Yeah.
is literary because the writing is very, it feels very MFA English, like how they describe.
It does feel very
Yeah,
MFA. That's
feels
very
for
funny. That's so good. And I would say like it's kind of a story of like hope and contentment, but a lot of it is like pretty sad, which is fitting for a November podcast. Are you at like a seasonal, like do you read your saddies in the winter?
Not really. I tend to
Oh.
read like depressing books in the summer so I can feel depressed in the sun.
What is wrong with you? Why? That's
Because
crazy.
it's already so like St. John's is so gray and so
Yeah.
wet in like around this time of the year. I'm surprised it's sunny today,
Yeah,
but I tend to not prefer reading books that will make me cry or like just feel bleak.
yeah.
I tend to gravitate towards those kind of books in the summer.
Interesting. So in the summer, are you reading like you're catching up on your Emily Henrys? Like is like now, I mean? Or
Not really. I honestly, I kind of am in a reading slump, but I'm kind of
Mhm.
forcing myself through it with audiobooks.
Mhm.
um, because I read like a series that was not really very fun. But I don't honestly know what I'll be reading in the next 2 months
Yeah.
because there's nothing that is on my shelf that's really pulling me towards it.
Interesting. And side note before we jump into this book, one more question that reminds me. How many books do you have on your TBR, on your physical TBR? Yes, this is I'm here to shame you.
I deserve jail time. I think it's gonna be at least 100 books.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, that's probably what I would have guessed for you actually. Listen, there are a lot of
Yeah,
people
I
who care
stopped
about you.
counting.
Yeah,
I
but
stopped
just an
counting
intervention.
after like 90. I stopped
That's
counting. I was like, I can't.
that I mean, do you have like a you must have like a half a book case then of like 100 books ish.
Pretty much, they're like overflowing everywhere. But we live in a pretty small place, so I
Mhm.
can't like justify getting another bookshelf.
Yeah.
So some of them are on top of my dresser in the bedroom, and some of them are on this like cart that's overflowing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so funny. That's amazing. I respect the hell out of that. But getting back into Thirst for Salt, how would you like describe this book to a friend and who would you recommend it to?
I don't know how to describe it. I think honestly, I did recommend it to a friend of mine who I was talking to the other day, who is Australian, by the way. And this is set there. So that's
Mhm,
kind of like, I was like, oh, this is a book that's set in small town Australia. And it's about an age gap relationship. And that's probably as much as I would give it.
mhm,
I wouldn't say there's a lot going on plot wise.
mm.
It's just us taking a look at like how their relationship evolved.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And so you'd recommend it to like Australians and like anyone who just kind of likes that MFA type vibe or
I think so. I don't know a lot of people who would like this, to be honest.
Mhm.
It is one of those because I was looking at Goodreads and there are not a lot of people who actually like this book.
Really? I'm surprised. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Huh. It didn't find its people then maybe because it's kind of sad. Like after I read it, I was like, okay, I would say it's a story about like longing and grieving a relationship that could have been, which isn't a
yeah,
spoiler. That's literally like what it's about.
yeah.
And I would recommend it to people who like sad books, but I would actively like not recommend it to anybody currently heartbroken. Like I have a friend who's also like very recently heartbroken and she was like, "Ooh," and I was like, "Not for you. Not for you specifically. You are not allowed to read this book. It will upset you." So, yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I didn't find it as sad the second time I read
Okay.
it, but I did find it. I don't know if it was like sad in a sense that it would make you feel like crying, but it was
Mhm.
mostly just really hopeless and bleak at times.
Yeah, it was. And I don't know like about you, but I'll probably like bring this my life experiences into it, but I personally have had so many experiences where you're pining for a love because you like delude yourself into wanting it so bad and so you see things that are maybe unhealthy or toxic, but your brain goes it like makes excuses for it and like no it's fine and but you know and your like rose colored glasses just penetrate through all of that and you just like fight for something um
Yeah,
that isn't it so
been there.
yes I think most of us have and so like if you're not currently heartbroken you can kind of use this book to look back on that and be like oh that poor girl I was I'm so glad that ain't me anymore right so hopeful in that kind of way. How was the experience of, reading it for the first time versus listening to it the second time?
I think listening to it, I did end up listening to it because I was reading another book alongside this, and
Mhm.
I was like, "I have to finish reading this book before we have the chat."
Yeah.
So I was reading it on and off, so, like, I was doing audiobook and I was reading it physically in the book I have,
Yeah.
but I think the last, I wanna say, like, half of it, I did do audiobook.
Mhm.
It definitely was more immersive when I read it the first time, like, I
Sure.
could, like, I felt like I was in the setting,
Mhm.
but when I listened to it in audiobook and when I was reading it the second time, I didn't feel like I was part of the setting, if
Mm.
that makes sense. Because I
Mhm.
knew, like, there was parts of my brain that already knew how it felt like, so it wasn't a new experience, it was just, like, revisiting, like, a memory of this book.
Yeah. Oh, okay, interesting. That's fair. It's like, weird. It's like you're revisiting a memory because you had read it before.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you got this like 30,000 foot view of the first time you read it and the book itself. That's interesting.
yeah.
Hmm. The setting of the book. Actually, Madeline Lucas, I watched a few interviews where she kind of talked about it being a character in itself. But what did you think about the setting? Did you find it immersive, or how did it add to the story for you?
I loved the setting when I first read it. It did not feel as strong when I read it the second time, because
Yeah.
I do remember saying that I felt like I was in there, and it
Mhm.
felt so vivid, like I was transported, like, it almost didn't feel like a story I read, it felt like it was a memory, like I experienced this myself.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. No, I'm with you. And so for people who didn't quite hear it in the back of the book, it's like a sandy, like small Australian like coastal town. It's a fictional town called is Sandy Beach? Sailor's Beach.
Sailor's Beach.
Yeah, yeah. But it does feel very real. I think too because there are some moments, a lot of it is in the winter, I think. So there are some moments where it is like when she originally meets Jude, it's kind of like sunny on the beach and he calls her shark bait and she like does a lot of swimming and she's like, hee hee, vacation with my mom. But then when things kind of get bleak, we get into like the winter months and it kind of matches like the progression of their relationship, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, it felt very cold. Like, the book felt cold,
Hmm.
their relationship was cold, everything that was happening was cold.
Yeah. And nothing worse than like a once sunny beach turn cold when you're in a bad mood. Like it's kind of something extra miserable about it, right? Madeline Lucas also had an interesting setup for her writing process through the book. We're going to watch a clip. I'm curious to hear what you think about what she says about her writing process, especially as a writer and a reader of the book.
Are you listening to music while you write though? Because I mean, some people can do that and some people can't, and some people, everyone has their thing. Yes, actually, that's a great question. Thirst for Salt was entirely written to a soundtrack of the musician Grouper, a Portland based musician. It was the only thing that I could write to while I was working on the novel. Her music is so atmospheric, so textural, but really emotive as well. It wasn't kind of abstract or instrumental. I think there's a lot of feeling and a lot of emotion in those songs. And so for me, that was crucial in maintaining the mood and feeling of the novel while I was working on it for a period of time. And, every day I would go to my desk and I would listen to the same four albums in a row. And it was almost like kind of hypnotism, a way of like accessing that space. And even now, if I hear the opening chords of like this fast track on this record, I can kind of feel my mind like go to this place and start to focus and narrow. Wait, does that mean you have a new soundtrack for a new project? Because I assume you're working on a new book. Well, fortunately, Grouper keeps making records, which is really great for me. And she put out a new record around the time I finished the last draft of the novel. So I was like, okay, great. Maybe this will be the soundtrack for my next project.
So wholesome. So she listened to this group's entire discography the entire time she wrote this book, pretty much. Do you have a relationship with like music or certain soundtracks or ambient noise and what you're working on as a writer?
I do. I have a playlist for both, the previous manuscript
Hmm.
and, the newer manuscript, which is, like, 2 different genres.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't necessarily listen to the songs as I'm writing the book,
Mhm.
but I do listen to instrumental music when I'm
Ooh,
writing.
interesting.
Yeah,
What kind of
because I
instrumental
can't
music?
it just random ones, honestly. I look up I look up on Spotify instrumental, like, usually it's steady music, or sometimes, like, people do create playlists that are called, music for writing or something like that, and I
Oh.
just grab a random one and play it.
Mhm,
Um, but I can't really write when there's people talking, like, speaking or singing in it.
mhm,
I can only write when there's it's an instrumental,
mhm,
song.
mhm,
But there are exceptions because I am writing in English, but if it's like a language that is not English and song is like maybe a Bollywood song
yeah.
or like Bengali music, I will be able to write with that.
Yeah. Oh, fascinating. Okay, I'm with you. Like RE lyrics. I also can't do lyrics, which is why I was surprised that Madeline Lucas said that she could. I was like, hats off to you. Could not be me. I do a lot of because my novel is set like at a camp, like on the lake. So I'll do like a lot of birds chirping and like kind of just like summer camp type loons on the lake noises for the setting to kind of inspire me. It's also set in the 90s, so I can't listen to like the Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls so many times over and over again.
You just said like birds chirping. I just immediately thought of like the videos I like throw on for our cats where there's like birds eating nuts.
Yeah, that's me. That's yeah, me and your cats, same playlist. That's so funny. Does it surprise you to hear of like Madeline or anybody else who writing somebody kind of like atmospheric, you like sticking with one discography?
Not really. I've listened to a lot of the Schwab's like videos and like podcast episodes on writing, and she is very heavy on having like a playlist for a certain book she's writing.
Yeah.
I think it is pretty common for authors to do that, like as
Mhm.
far as I know, where they have like a special playlist for their book.
Yeah, interesting. I had no idea. I should listen to that podcast because I always thought that like words would be too much. But I guess when researching my like previous episode of this podcast, like Joe Hill talking about Stephen King growing up, like listening to the Stones, the Rolling Stones constantly and like blasting AC/DC and shit while he's writing scary shit. So shouldn't be too surprised. But yeah, interesting.
I
Um,
can't listen to lyrics and write at the same time. I'd probably be writing the
I
lyrics
was
if
just gonna say, yeah, you're just like dictating all the songs. That's so funny. Um, so this book is so different in what you read, like with your normal kind of fantasy books, because it's so character driven and the plot moves at like a snail's pace, but in the most beautiful way. Um, do you think like the characters kind of evolve? Do you think they also evolve slowly, or what do you think the pace of the character development was versus the plot?
to be honest, I don't think Jude evolved at all.
Oh, hot take. I love that. And true.
But our main character, who is unnamed, I think she does evolve
Yeah.
quite a bit. Um, but yeah, I don't think Jude really changed much. I think he
Mhm.
was kind of person who was like very set on his own terms, and
Mhm.
I don't think he evolved.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. Do you think like would you say this is like a super slow paced book, or would you say it was like kind of medium for what it is, or how would you describe it?
I think it's medium.
Mhm.
I with me, like if I'm really liking the characters,
Mhm.
and the relationship, I don't pay too much attention to like the pacing
Yeah.
of the plot. I think the way the story is also told, it's like she's recalling a memory.
Mhm.
So it's not necessarily like it's not even following, oh, this happened, then this happened, then this happened. It's
Mhm.
her recalling, oh, this time this happened, and then a couple days later, this time this happened.
Yeah.
Um, so I did not mind the pacing. I think it was somewhere in between. Like, I don't think it was
Mhm.
slow. I don't think it was too fast.
Yeah.
I think it's it's written in a way that you stay like focus on the characters way more than like how the plot is moving.
Yeah, I agree. And so for people who don't really like character, like solely kind of character driven novels, I also would not recommend this for you. But for everyone else, you probably love it. Speaking of characters, who were some of your favorite and least favorites? I know.
I think an easy answer would be to say Jude, but I think he is a complex character. Like, objectively, I don't think I would hate on Jude,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I kind of dislike the mom the most.
Interesting. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. She let like our main character do like the parenting
Mm-hmm.
instead of being a parent, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like at times she was saying things that were reasonable, but then there was times she was saying some weird stuff that made me like, why would you say that to your young daughter?
Yeah. 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 I'm with you. I hadn't thought about it until you said it, but there is kind of because she had our main character so young at 24, I feel like she was trying to kind of like live the rest of her youth through her daughter. And so when she would say like don't have a baby also in your early 20s, I feel like it came from a place of not because I want what's best for you, but more because like I want to keep living my youth through you and that'll stop if you have a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So those are some of your least ish favorite. I know Jude's a little more complicated. Or would you say Jude is one of your favorites?
Nah.
No. Who are some of your favorites?
I think I liked Maeve.
Mhm.
I know there might be some mixed feelings about Maeve, but I
Yeah.
think she might be one of the characters I do like the most. I want to say I like the main character, but that's kind of like the obvious. I wouldn't have kept on reading if I didn't like the main character.
Yeah, fair. I think there are a lot of things the main character does that drive me fucking crazy because it's a little like, don't make these mistakes. Like, look at what this man is doing to you. But I was since I've been there, I can't fault her for it. I'm not sure I super loved Maeve. She also kind of has her moments, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I wish I would have heard more about like the little brother. Like he seemed like he had a great head on
Yeah.
his shoulders.
That I was gonna say, like, he probably is the most favorite. Like, out of all of them, like the most, I don't know, I like the most. But
Hmm.
like I know so little about him, and maybe that is why he's like a favorite because I don't know him well enough and I don't
Yeah,
know his flaws as well as like the other characters.
yeah. He hasn't been ruined for us, really,
No.
because we see him at such a surface level. That's so funny. So we talked about how the main character is never named in the book. It's always just kind of like she, and since it's from her POV, it's a lot of I. Um, Jude calls her like shark bait initially, like when they first kind of meet because she keeps swimming in the ocean and not ideal times apparently. But aside from not naming the main character, like Madelaine also does not use quotation marks around any of the dialogue. What did you think of some of the like literary style choices she was making?
I have never been a hater of no quotation marks. I know a lot of people hate Sally Rooney's work because she
Yes.
doesn't use quotation marks as well.
Yeah.
I have never like I the like a writer is a good writer because even without the quotation marks,
Hmm.
like each character has their own voice that you
Hmm.
can actually tell who
Hmm.
is saying what they're saying. And I think like that is one of the coolest things about like properly pulling off no quotation marks
Hmm.
is when the voices are so distinct that you don't really have to worry about, oh, Jude said, Maeve said, quotation marks.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think like she does it in a way where your eyes glide over it and your brain
Yeah.
autofills the context because they are so separate. LOL at you referencing Sally Rooney's work. And because I hear that all the time as well, also does not use quotation marks. And I think that's just like such a weird hill to die on because it's not like she doesn't do it well. She also does it in a way where you can tell. One of my favorite writers, also Andre Alexis. I don't know if you've read any of his stuff. He uses just like end dashes on like new lines to separate dialogue out, and I always thought that was like my brain is like, oh, efficient. It's like a bullet point list kind of.
It's never been like a huge issue for me. Like,
Mhm.
I read The Bee Sting earlier this year,
Mhm.
and it's one of my favorite books now because it's like it's so good.
Mhm.
But I did listen to the audiobook for a lot of it.
Yeah.
Um, so I was switching back and forth from the audiobook to like actually reading it in my physical copy, and
Mhm.
there is this character. Not only are there no quotation marks, there are no punctuation, so there's no commas, no full stops, nothing.
Yeah.
And I was reading it, and I didn't even realize that there were no punctuation marks.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hold on a minute, why is there a random capital letter in the middle
Mhm.
of the sentence?
Mhm.
And then I looked through the whole page and I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
there are no punctuation marks. But it never bothered me because
Mhm.
the writing was so good that you could like actually tell where like a sentence started and ended,
Yeah.
even though there were no punctuation marks. So
Yeah.
I have never been bothered with like, oh, no quotes, I hate this,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna read this kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Okay, that's also very fascinating. And it was just for that one character, or is it the whole book?
It was for one character, so there are like I think four POVs,
Mhm.
um, and it's like one of the characters, and it was an interesting choice, and I didn't have a problem with it at all.
Yeah, I wonder what the pipeline to like making that choice like a writer has to go through. Like, how do they choose? Like, I think this book I should do without the quotation marks, or on naming the MC. It also seems very MFA coded, don't you think?
It did make sense for that character,
Mhm.
without getting into too much detail, like she is a very like she seemed like a very fast pace. Oh, her thoughts were like just flowing and like things were just happening.
Mhm.
So it could have been because there was no like you couldn't pause, like because her life was just moving so fast. That
Yeah.
could have been why.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
honestly don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that makes more sense. But in the case of like Madeline Lucas or Sally Rooney, no clue. Maybe I'll send them both an email and see what they say. Do you have a favorite passage from the book? Read it to us. Read it to
See,
us.
I don't have a favorite passage,
Hmm.
but there was a passage that made me laugh the first time.
Oh, amazing.
Let's see. I don't know how far, like, where exactly it is. I should have, like, put it, like, a special color on it. It's just two lines.
Hell yeah.
It's on page 161. He says, "Listen," he said, feeling the back of his hair. "If you ever write about me, don't mention my bald spot."
Yes. Oh my God, that made me laugh too. That's so funny.
And I was just like, "Oh my gosh," because it's in the book. So it
Mhm.
was like, "Oh my gosh," I put an I dot dot dot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah, that is kind of like pointy of Madeline to do. Does your is your partner ever like don't write about me? No?
He'd probably be like, "Write about me."
Really? That's so funny. I've had men tell me because I post a lot on my Instagram stories and I'll talk openly about some of my dating experiences. So I've had men tell me like I'm too scared to take you on a date. Like I don't want to be on your Instagram stories. And I'm like, well, don't do anything fucked up, and then you won't be as.
Exactly.
That's so funny. That's a great passage. That's a great. It's kind of like a weird, like wink that breaks the fourth wall in an otherwise very kind of sad book. My passage is a lot more sad. Mine's only on page 37. It's kind of like setting us up to recount the whole relationship. But she says, the main character says, always the beggar for his love. I was like the desperate ocean wearing away at him. The ceaseless questioning of the tide to the shore that I heard from our bedroom window all winter long, asking, do you love me? Do you love me? And his answer, which never quite satisfied, if I didn't, would I still be here in bed with you? And that I was like, oh, got it. I hate this man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have that. I have a. I don't think I tapped it the first time, but when I was reading it the second time, I have a little dog ear. I am not a huge dog ear person, but I
Mhm.
did dog ear this book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's so many examples like that where he just like can't give her simple validation where she is like begging this man to love her, and he's like, well, obviously I do because
Yeah.
I'm showing you by XYZ. Like, he's toxic for not just like validating her, but she also, I want to be like, just leave then, because he's never going to give you this. Like, he's never going to change his mind and be like, you know what, I love
Yeah.
you to the depths of my soul. Like, he's not going to like turn into that guy. So
Yeah.
frustrating.
I think part of the reason why she was like, I want to say, glued to him and like had such high hopes in this relationship
Hmm.
was because around her, like, everybody's very unstable, and she never like felt like she could settle and like
Hmm.
meet somebody who was more grounded and like had like more confidence in who they were as a person, because she's very insecure. You can tell that from like
Hmm.
all the things she does in the book.
Hmm.
And Jude was this headstrong person from the get-go.
Hmm.
And I think like that is kind of why she thought that maybe she could potentially turn this into something that was deeper than what he made it seem like it was. Because I
Yeah.
don't think this man ever was fully into her.
No, no, I don't think so either. I think he just like, I think for a lot of men, having a girlfriend or having a partner, having a lover, having a wife is just so like something that brings them status. It's like a box they checked and they feel like accomplished because they did that, and they don't actually like the woman as a person, which is like so sad. Yeah. Um there's a like a running theme and like underlying kind of repetitive message around girlhood slash womanhood and loneliness. And thinking about how like the main character was lonely, and I think one of her roommates or both of them, no, one of them was single, also lonely, and the mother was like drifted in and out of these relationships her whole life and was also ultimately lonely. I think there's a way to like see it as sad, but there's also for me kind of a strength about it, because it takes a strong woman to decide to get out of something and choose to be on her own versus like sticking it with that person who's not working.
Oh yeah.
But what did you think about these themes of like loneliness and womanhood?
I think, I don't know about like, I grew up in a culture that's very like, oh, you need to get married.
Mm, sure.
And your pretty much your greatest accomplishment in life is being a married woman, and after that it's being a mother.
Hmm.
Um, so like it's kind of like ingrained in you that that is kind of like you got to check that box off. Like
Hmm.
it's kind of one of these achievements in your life that you have to do.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like obviously her mother was like in and out of stuff, but
Hmm.
I have a feeling because of that, um, she tried really hard to go against the grain that was her mother,
Hmm.
and kind of almost prove it to herself as well that she could be in a stable relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I think that's why she hung on as long as she did. Because if she were, because you mentioned a good point about her being really insecure. Because if she was a little more secure, I don't think that relationship would have lasted the length of the original vacation.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't even know of how much like I don't even know what they had in common.
Yeah. Yes. Like she would be like, we both read by the fire. I'm like, go join a book club then. Like, you go find. Yeah, that's so actually it's a great transition because my next question was around the age gap relationship. So when they start dating, she's 24 and he's 42. And she's like a little insecure about it from time to time, but she kind of like likes it. Like her roommates also say it's hot. But I think he's also insecure about it too, because any like little comment she makes that's even unrelated, he's like, "Oh, it's because you think I'm old," or like, "I was young once too," and he gets a little like defensive about it. Um, but do you think the relationship would have been any better had they been the same age or nah?
Nah, nah.
Yeah, nah.
I don't think so. I feel like yeah, you the point you said, like he was very aware of like the age gap, and
Mhm.
I feel like he was also, I think he was insecure about it as well.
Mhm.
I almost feel like she washed up on the ocean and he was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna be with you now.
Mhm.
It wasn't, I don't think he had a lot of thought that went into being with her.
No.
I think he just went with it just because.
Mhm.
Um, and you can tell, like, you can see that he is very aware of, oh, their lived experiences. There's like a whole adult between them, basically, because
Mhm.
she's 24, he's 42.
Mhm.
Um, and like at one point, I think she's smoking or something,
Mhm.
and he asks her, "Oh, does your mother know that you smoke?" And what kind of like adult would ask that to another adult? Like, "Oh,
Yeah.
does your mother know that you do this?"
True.
Uh, like
Kind of infantilizing. And like it's weird that
I
he would
know.
do that to her, but like also still want to like date her and take her seriously. Or I guess he really didn't take her seriously. Yeah. Interesting. I thought about it and like there are some kind of windows you get into Jude's youth where he's like, "Oh, I traveled." He spent time abroad in Barcelona, Spain, or somewhere else,
Yeah.
somewhere in Europe where he like kicked it for school. And I wonder, like, had they been young at the same time and could have shared some of those same experiences together, like, would that have helped their relationship? And I'm like, maybe, but you're right. Ultimately, they don't really have much in common, eh?
Not really. I found Jude very boring. Like, to be honest, there are 42-year-olds that are far more interesting than
Yeah, yeah,
him.
yeah. He's got that like hobbies include taking care of the house, chopping wood, being a man's man, you know? And I'm like,
He
what else is there to you? But the answer was not much.
he was 42, but he gave like 60-year-old vibes, if that made any sense.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I think you're totally right. And last question before we jump into some of the spoiler elements. Madelaine Lucas, also in that same interview from the clip that we watched, said that she likes reading and writing on the sentence level, like wants to like really pack each sentence with like a beautiful punch, so to speak. Like it needs to be like lyrical and kind of masterly assembled. Um, do you care that each sentence is like handcrafted like that, or you could take it or leave it?
It definitely like makes the experience of reading the book better.
Hmm.
I know the first time when I read it, I was like, holy shit, this writing is amazing, which
Hmm.
it is.
It is.
But the second time around when I was reading it, I was like, huh, sometimes it can like lean a little bit towards like purple prose a little bit.
Oh, interesting. And for those who don't know, purple prose being.
A little too lyrical, a little too
Mhm.
like polished in like too poetic, if that makes any sense. It depends on your mood. Sometimes like prose is fine. Sometimes it feels too much.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think like certain books call for it. Like if you're gonna have a book with that's slower on the plot, like we can kind of slow it down and take it there and like a little more beautifully and lyrically, like you were saying. But if it's something that's like a little more high octane, like if it's like a horror or a thriller or something, you know, let's keep it moving, then sometimes we gotta keep it moving. That's okay.
I think this was fine. Like
Mhm.
I loved her writing. Like I have no complaints about it.
Mhm.
But like the way she articulates certain thoughts, I was like, holy shit, I would never think of writing this thought
Mhm.
using these words, which is
Mhm.
amazing because like I'm just like, oh, these are thoughts and comparisons to things I would never have like actually made, but it works so well together.
Yeah, like you can really see her like flexing her background and skills and natural talent in on the sentence level because I agree. Some of it I'm like, how the fuck did that come out of your brain? It's really beautiful. She did a great job with it. Um, but yeah, moving on to the last section, we'll put some music here again. Insert music. I want to start out by talking about, I guess it's not really that much of a spoiler, but like the narrator's relationship with her mother. What did you think about their relationship?
think I keep saying my sentence I start. I think
That's okay. Me too.
uh I honestly like I feel like sometimes her mother was a little like she was enabling her behavior in
Hmm.
the beginning. Uh she said something like older men always liked you or something
Hmm.
like along the lines of that in one of these like in the beginning
Yeah.
when Jude and her didn't get like together,
Hmm.
but they were talking about Jude
Hmm.
after like they run into him at the furniture store,
Hmm.
and her mother was like, "Oh, older men like always liked you. Like they've
Hmm.
always been into you." Which I like, I don't want my mother to say that to
No,
me. That's
it
kind of gross.
sure is gross. Yep, correct. Do you think that their relationship like got better or worse as she kind of went from like past to present, or what do you think about like the trajectory?
I think it definitely got better,
Hmm.
but there were also like glimpses throughout the book how she had to basically parent her brother at times when
Hmm.
like at the park and people would like look at her funny because they would think, oh, she's a teenage mom.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like when like sometimes like when there's a huge age gap between kids, the older child sometimes has to step up as a parent, especially if the mom has a lot of things going on, like if they're a single mom. Um, and I think like she did not get that childhood that she deserved
Hmm.
as a kid, and she had to grow up too fast.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that growing up, you can tell like the way she reacts and the way she behaves throughout the story that she how do I say this? Her behavior is still pretty childish at times,
Yeah.
but she is told that she is mature for her age.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm not sure she is mature in practice. So I see what you mean. Yeah, I think like her relationship was kind of bumpy, of course, but I think that was realistic to like where they were in their lives. Like she was only 24 when she had her kid, and I was thinking about it like my mom had me at 25, but my mom like yeah, my mom like was married. I was the second kid. She was already a mother of one. She like very much tried for me for years. Like she was already kind of like in motherhood zone. Whereas like the main character's mother, I think she was kind of like an unplanned, like a surprise baby. And then having her I think she cared more about her marriage. And then once that kind of dissolved, she like I don't know, I wouldn't say like she resented the main character, but I think like those kind of attitudes leads to things like, oh, older men are always into you, or like when they both saw Jude for the first time, the mom was like, I don't know if he's into you or me and stuff like that. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
ew. So I don't know if I'd call it quite resentment, but I think there's a little like spicy part of her that is like, ah, like I hate this is what my life came to be a little bit. But I think ultimately
Yeah.
loving.
It did like their relationship definitely evolved, but I also feel for the mom because I feel like as people who can like have children,
Hmm.
sometimes our whole identity after we give birth, our whole identity becomes like, oh, you have to be a mother.
Hmm.
And that's like all you're known for.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfair that we have to give up like a whole part of our lives
Yeah.
just because now we have to step up as a parent.
Yeah.
Like I understand both sides. Like I obviously like if you are having a child, you need to be there for your child as a
Hmm.
parent, but you do have to sacrifice a lot in order to be a great parent.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's like very complicated, but yeah, but I think very realistic for like their life circumstances for sure. I think Madeline Lucas did like a really good job not being like, and the mother was perfect and supportive, and she 10 out of 10, and there was never a better single mother. I think like she did like a pretty realistic job.
Yeah, I
Um,
think so too.
hmm.
She did. I think her mom did, like, aside from like certain weird comments and weird behaviors, I think her mom did as much as she could at in that time,
Mhm.
when she was still trying to chase after her dad,
Mhm.
and then trying to put her life together as well. It is hard as a single mom to have, like, the whole responsibility of a child when you still are so young, because like, 24 is so young.
Yeah, is baby. Like I don't know who I was when I was 24. That's crazy. Um I also wanted to talk about Maeve. So, Maeve originally we see her in like the bar when our main character sees Jude in like the bar, the pub or whatever it is. And she's like more Jude's age and like our main character was immediately kind of intimidated and a little insecure about Maeve and Jude's relationship. Although Jude like went out of his way multiple times to reassure like she's just my friend. She's actually dating my best friend Willie. Like she's the girl you don't have to worry about. But later in the book when Maeve is pregnant and like she and Jude are walking on the beach and our main character sees them, she sees what she thinks is like potentially maybe an intimate moment, but I think she like runs away before it actually happens. Jude assures her nothing happened, but Maeve eventually is like, we kissed when I needed a time of like comfort and reassurance and I needed to know somebody was there for me because I was so deeply lonely. um what did you think that scene and the truth behind it says about Jude and says about Maeve as people?
It was a very slimy move
It sure
to
was.
do that.
Yeah.
For starters, but it also shows how both these like characters who are like, I want to say full grown adults, know that whatever Jude has with our main character, it's not gonna last.
Yeah.
Um, and they do it almost like, oh, this relationship is not that serious because it's probably not gonna go anywhere.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. I hadn't thought of that. I was like I didn't think about what they both thought of Jude and the main character's relationship. That's a great point. Because I was just like, shitty of Jude because it like objectively was, but like to do it, but to also lie about it. But when Maeve at least like came to our main character and was like, "Hey, we did this, and it wasn't the romance we you thought it might have been, but I just want to tell you that it happened, and I'm sorry it happened." I was like, okay, slimy, but she won a few points back in my books. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I don't think Maeve owed anything to her like the main character.
Yeah,
They were friends, but they were not friends friends.
yeah,
But like, but Jude did owe, like, he was in a relationship with our main character, so
hmm
like the way he lied about it afterwards and said nothing happened
hmm
leads me to believe that there were probably many more times something did happen
hmm
where he lied and basically gaslit our main character.
hmm
Um, and said, "Oh, nothing happened. I was just out doing this, I was out doing that, I was just getting drinks with my friends and all of that
hmm
stuff."
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And even at the very end, when they go to like Jude's new place after he burns the house down, and we'll touch on that as well. Like our main character kept being like, whose woman's house is this? Like, this is some bitch's house, basically, isn't it? And he doesn't outwardly say it because he's a fucking coward.
He is very, very sneaky, and I think he thinks like he's untouchable and he has no rules and he's not bound by anything, and that
Mhm,
kind of like, you can see it in the things he does, and
mhm,
I think it's almost a hassle for him to be with this girl who keeps asking him about, "Oh, where are you? What are we? Do
mhm,
you love me?" Um, so like, it was really weird because
mhm,
the like evidence was right in front of like Jude and their main character when she visits him.
mhm.
Yeah, in that place.
Yeah,
And he's still lying. Like,
yeah.
dude,
Why? Yeah, yeah. That's a great point because he does act like she's a burden to him, and if that's the case, and if you're already broken up and she was this big burden to you, why can't you just be honest with her then? What have you got to lose? You're already not together. You're already with some other lady. Why can't you just be like, "Yeah, I'm actually dating this lady named Cindy," or like some shit? Like, why can't you just say that? So
I don't
infuriating.
know.
Yeah.
I think he wanted something with her still, and like maybe a last little. let's sleep together one last time before we say goodbye kind of shit. But it's still weird, not just to the main character, but also with the women like he's currently with. Oh,
Yeah.
hi, Cooper.
Mm. But yeah, no, I agree. I think maybe like he can't stand the thought of being the bad guy in someone's eyes, even if like it's somebody who technically doesn't really like matter to him anymore. He still can't be the villain in their situation. Um, fuck.
He is a villain. He's a huge villain.
He is.
But like he's very sneaky. He's not like outright being aggressive and
Mhm.
abusive,
Mhm.
but like he is very manipulative. Like he
Mhm.
does things that are really sus.
Yeah. Yeah, he does, which is not does not help our main character who's already pretty insecure. Um, but the next kind of spoilery part I wanted to talk about was the fact that our narrator kind of longs to have his baby pretty quick in their relationship. And then towards the end of the book, she does find herself like pregnant for reals. Were you surprised she chose the abortion or no?
I honestly don't know. I did not give a lot of thought into that.
Mm,
Um, but I don't think I think the fact that she had an abortion
mhm.
was kind of the author showing us how she evolved as a character.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Um, but like it's actually an interesting thing to think about. Like she was really set on like wanting to like parent a child with Jude.
Yeah. For some reason.
Yeah. What do you think? Why do you think she was like really
Yeah.
wanting to have a baby?
I think that she wanted to have the baby, not to like necessarily baby trap him, but I think in the beginning, especially, she was so looking for ways to affirm his love. And he wasn't outright giving it to her. But if she had his baby, that would be another way of her to kind of get love from him and feel validated from him through the means of the child, which is fucked, I think. But I was surprised that she got the abortion. I thought that she was going to have the baby but still break up with him and be like, now I'm gonna break the generational trauma and be like a different kind of single mom because I wanted to be a mom over anything anyway. Um, but I kind of love that she chose the abortion. I think I kinda like that better, so now she can do whatever she wants without having to, like, be attached to him for the rest of her life in a way, or to use it as a means to get back with him. Um, but yeah, I was surprised.
I think I completely forgot about that whole plot line, to be
Did you?
honest. Yeah, I was reading your briefing, the notes you sent me, and I was like, huh, why did she have this there?
Yeah, but I'm not crazy, right? She fully went to that abortion clinic and, like,
No,
got the deed done? That happened? Okay.
I was shocked because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, did she like actually go through with it? But
Mhm.
you are right where you said like she wanted like proof of their love. There is
Mhm.
a passage in there where she says that, oh, having a child is basically to her,
Mhm.
having a child was proof of the love that she and Jude had, like physical proof,
Yeah.
which I was like,
Yeah, it's so
I
sad.
don't think so, girly.
Yeah, sad, incorrect, and like there's you should go find somebody who's down to love you openly. I promise you could find
I
it.
know. I know. I don't think she got like a good example of healthy kind of love.
Mhm. Yeah.
Never. Like
No.
even her friends, like she like the connection she had with her friends were not even like super rooted in like this deep friendship where they were like fully there for her. Like
Mhm.
she just was not used to having any sort of like stable relationship, whether it's
Yeah.
platonic or like a romantic one.
Yeah, which is so sad in a way. There are so many moments like that where I just wanted to like jump into the book and shake her shoulders and be like, "Get out! What are you doing?" um, are there things like had you been our main character hypothetically, are there things you would have done different in like certain circumstances? Like I'm like I want to tell myself I would have gotten the fuck out, but I don't
I
know.
think I would have been stupider, like to be honest.
Really? That's so funny. In what way?
I honestly, like, obviously, when I was 24, I was in a, like, pretty long-term relationship. I'm still in the same one now.
Mhm,
Um, but, like, if hypothetically, like, if I did not have any, like, experience,
mhm.
in that, like, any relationship before that, I don't know if, like, the author mentioned that she had any relationship, prior to this,
Mhm.
but if that was the only idea I had of a relationship, I wouldn't, like, know what
Yeah.
was okay and what was not okay. Cause like, Jude never was the aggressive, like, assaulter kinda guy, and,
No.
like, a lot of the times, I know women who stay in relationships with these men, they're like, "Oh, but he doesn't beat me." So, like, maybe I would have been stupider if I was her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's a great point because he wasn't overtly like, "You stupid cunt," or anything like that to her because
Yeah,
he didn't beat her up, that she was like, "Oh, it's probably love because we read together on the
I
couch."
know.
It's crazy. Um, Jude later, so when kind of around the time actually where our main character gets the abortion, Jude also burns down the house. He says to her that he was like planning on selling it anyway. And I think it's Maeve, right, who is like, no, Jude like went in and like lit a match fully. And but Jude's side of the story was like, didn't he say it was a
It was a
cigarette?
fire and the it was he said that it was, like, the fire and then I think parts of the house were broken down and then the rain got to the rest of it or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he didn't take ownership of like starting the fire himself. Um, do you think, like, to me that kind of symbolized like him being done with her and the relationship, but like still holding on to, still proving that he's going to hold on to his toxicity throughout his future relationships. But did you read into that like fire scene any more than that, or were you like, oh, just another shitty thing Jude did?
I think it was another one of those things that he was the cause of the chaos, but he pretended like he wasn't.
True. Yeah, good point. Yeah, no, fucked up. I feel bad for King too.
He's oh oh that okay, that really pissed me off when he
Mhm.
didn't even call her and tell her to come see the dog one last time.
Yeah.
That really made me mad.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, just like thinking of himself first, I think, and being like, I'm the owner of this house, I'm the owner of the dog, and not worrying about anybody else. Very
Yeah.
classic. Yeah.
I don't think he respected her as an adult. I think he was always aware of the big age difference
Mhm.
they had, and he always felt like the adult in the relationship.
Mhm.
So he was like, I'm gonna be the one who calls all the shots, and like it's my way or no other way.
Mhm. Yeah. I had another question too about like the narrator kind of gaslighting herself into a love that could never be. But we kind of touched on that a few times because that's kind of the theme of the whole book is her being really delulu about this non-love. Were there any like actions Jude made in particular that stuck out to you like, "Oh, that pissed me off, like you suck."
The time, so he was always like, "Oh, I'm not the kind of person who's on my phone. I don't text. I
Mhm.
don't like call and everything,"
Mhm.
which I found really weird because um, I feel like it's another way Jude kept the main character at arm's length because he was like, "You're not gonna really fully have control or like access to me
Mhm.
the way you want to," and
Yeah.
I think it was another one of those things. Like he was like, "I'm not gonna fully commit myself to this person."
Yes. Yeah, true. It's kind of very one foot out the door of him to kind of set that up like that. That's a great one. I was thinking about just something as simple as like them going to see a movie at the movie theater together. And when the movie ends, like the Madeline Lucas describes it as like he is already like hands shoved in his pockets 5 paces ahead of her while she's like struggling to get her jacket on, like wait for me kind of vibes. And I was totally in a relationship like that all the time where I was like the burden trailing behind and I was like, and I just felt like, oh fuck, I feel so bad for you.
Yeah, I think that it might have been around that time. Um, he was like, "Oh, I don't want to hold hands with you because I'm too old for that." And I was like,
Yeah, I'm too old for that love. Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
shut up.
Yeah, like, "You're too old to be nice to me? Interesting." And she's like, "Okay." So
He brushes off a lot of that like stuff, and he's kind of blames it on like, oh, I'm too old for that.
mhm.
But he's not too old to gaslight her and like cheat on her.
Yeah, 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 and, like, lie about it, so, yeah.
Yeah.
No age limit on that.
What are your traditional old man values?
Yeah, for real. Oh my god. And what did you think of the endings? She kind of like she has the abortion, she goes off to New York to do more writing things, and she kind of like looks back on the relationship wistfully, but is ultimately on her own. What did you think about that?
I think it was a good way to end the story. I don't think if like if the author added some crazy, oh, she won an award for this thing and all of that, I think it would have been too chaotic.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
agree.
like it started off a little slow and like
Hmm.
gentle, and it kind of ended in that note as well,
Hmm.
which was nice.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think like her looking at the photograph of like Jude and the little girl that he did have in his 50s, and she like that's what kind of like sparked the whole retelling of their relationship. But she didn't seem like she was recounting it in like a salty way. Like she seemed like at peace with not being the woman who had her baby, and like which makes me feel extra good about her choosing to like go for the abortion. So
Yeah,
well done, Madeline Lucas.
I
All right.
know. I actually was like shocked that she actually left and like actually left him after like the whole thing with Maeve, like the
Hmm.
little face touching thing, because she didn't know that they kissed. But I
Yeah.
was surprised that that kind of like ignited the want to actually leave this man.
Hmm. Yeah, true. I guess like Maeve kind of did her a solid in that way. They kind of kicked that off. Oh, is there anything that you wish you would have seen more or less of from the characters or from the plot or anything?
I don't think so. I think it was perfect, like the amount she like she had in the story about like each of the relationships, like Maeve and her, and Jude and her brother
Hmm.
and her, like her and her mom. Like there were, I think these were like the most, other than the brother, like these were the other main relationships in the story. I
Yeah.
think like I think she wraps it up quite well. I don't think
Hmm.
I needed anything more. I think anything more would have been too much.
Hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that's fair. I love that for you. I would have loved to see more with the brother. Like I would have loved to see more with little brother, and I would have loved to see more of the dynamic with her roommates because they seemed a little more like grounded as people. They didn't seem as insecure, and they didn't see like they seemed like to go for people their own age. They seemed a little like rough around the edges, like you kind of are in your mid 20s, and I kind of wanted to see their dynamic more. But like I would have done Madeline, if you're listening, another 50 pages of that. Give me the extended cut of like her peripheral relationships, and I will eat it up. Yeah.
I actually think that was the roommates thing. I think it was another example of her not having a close bond with them
That's true.
to like explain like, oh, they did this in the weekends, they had movie nights and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. It kind of like showed how like all the connections our main character had were so like they weren't deep.
Yeah, they were surface level, I think. Yeah. Which makes me sad. I'm like, are there people out there like that, Elaine, who just have all surface level relationships? That's so sad. If you out there don't have any close friends, might I recommend getting friends?
Yeah, get your other friends who are not that deep friends to send the Instagram profiles
Yeah.
to each other.
That's so funny. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm dead. But yeah, anything else you wanted to talk about? RE the book is a nice long recording.
Dude.
That's a great ending note. Fuck Jude. Fuck this guy. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I see, like with him, like I have very mixed feelings with him because like I understand certain things he did, but also
Mhm.
like there's literally no reason for you to play around with this
Yep.
person who's trying to be really like trying to build a connection with you. Like if you're not into it, just tell her I don't want anything serious. This is
Hmm.
just like a little fling. But
Yeah.
no, he took I think he took advantage of the opportunity, kind of like the opportunity presented. Um, he was like, "Oh, as a young woman, let me just, see how long this lasts."
Yep. Yeah, yeah, adds to his like status a bit.
Yeah.
Just this shitty and didn't grow at all. So,
Nope.
but Madeline Lucas is a beautiful writer, that queen, and we stand.
Oh my, I can't wait to read her like other. I keep looking at her like Instagram profile from time to time to see if like there's a little hint
Announcement.
of something that I missed.
Yeah. No, RIP. We'll both be waiting with bated breath for sure. Where can people find you when your accounts are active, or where can people find you in general, Elaine?
Nowhere right now.
Yeah. Dead.
Uh, my Substack, but I'm not really very active on that either.
Okay. If you are watching or listening to this in a future time and Elaine's accounts are back up, which account should they follow?
Suddenly I forget what my username is.
Mm.
I think it's Pages Exprartona, so it's PAGESXPRARTHONA.
Great. And I will link them or retroactively link them, but I can't promise you on how those links will work. And because Elaine is protecting her peace. And thank you so much for joining me on this episode.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely chatting about this book and just
Yeah.
chatting in general.
Yes.
Even
Yeah.
though this is like our first like chat and it was recorded.
Yeah, which is so funny. Every chat we have, we'll have to record it, I guess, just because that's what we're used to.
For the future to edit it out and see what parts we like more and what parts we don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is our new thing now. It's our new bit. But yeah, episode to come, and I have a few listeners and watchers. I have a few other episodes lined up. Thank you so much, and let me know what you think about Thirst for Salt or the episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.